Hey everybody. I'm getting some kind of weird fan noise or something. Well, I guess this will have to be good enough. Please let me know in the chat if audio sounds like garbage or what. But I got a bunch of stuff to test today. I've never messed with any of it except the Carby, of course. And I'm going in blind on a lot of it, so expect a lot of beginner mistakes. And I hope to end up with something that I could simplify in the weekly podcast, because I think this all should be easy, but just like everything else, the first time you do something, it's always tricky. So I'm going to start by making sure the first GameCube I have here even works. And this was donated by a friend of the channel, and I will give absolute shout outs for that in a moment too. Alright, so I'm just going to start out by plugging in the Carby, which are now, I believe, back in stock at Insurrection Industries and maybe back in stock at Stone Age Gamer 2. And hey, what's up, Greg? How you doing, man? Liam, shout out to Liam. Okay, good. I wanted to make sure that I got that right because I'm even going to edit this now just because I don't want to. I always like to give credit where credit's due, and this wouldn't happen without Liam sending me this. So cool. All right. Well, I guess I'll have to add it afterwards because the thing's being weird. But thank you to Liam for this. Hello from France. All right. So let me add. Let me add my data path capture card. You're just gonna see like no signal for a second here. Yeah. All right. That'll probably jump into place once I boot it. But let me plug the sucker in now and see if this GameCube works and if the Carby works. And if not, I have a spare because I didn't want to start the stream and immediately have to stop it, which I've done before. All right, powering on. Let's see what we got. I think this is probably. Let me double check. I'm going to assume that this was 720 by 480. Okay, cool. So 480. All right, that's totally cool. I also have, thanks to Ryan from Castlemania Games, a Battler GC Pro. I probably forgot to put that in the description too, like a total moron, but that seems like a pretty neat wireless controller with a bunch of different options. You can output to GameCube, to the Switch, to PC, and I think it's Bluetooth as well. I'm sure Smash players hate it because Smash players hate everything, but for a very casual GameCube user like myself, I probably going to be more than enough. Yo, is this seen on camera all right? I should probably move this a little closer. Also probably should have given y'all a shaky cam warning. Sorry. There we go. A little bit better. Here we controller. And charge cables. And here it comes with the dongles as well. So here's it for the GameCube. Move this aside. That was it. Paired immediately. All right, so we know the GameCube's working. So I'm going to test a couple of different things. I'm going to double check the chat before I do, just in case I see anything, or in case anybody found anything weird with the setup, the noise, whatever else. All right. Yeah, hello from Minnesota. Hello from Poland. Rajic, hello. Philly. I like your cheesesteaks. Greg from Laserware said he forgot to send a Blue Retro board. I wouldn't have used it anyway. I use GameCube so little that my Bluetooth controllers would just die. Like like this right here will probably end up like I might give this to Beast to review or something like that, just because any controller with a battery in it, it'll just end up dying on me. So I think since Greg's here, so I could just be lazy and selfish and get immediate tech support, I'm going to use his version of the PicoLoader. I also have Makio's version, but I also have a second GameCube because Ryan from Castlemania sent me one to test out as well. So if this stream goes well, I'll do them both in the stream, and if it doesn't, then I'll just do a quick follow-up stream, probably Tuesday morning or something. So let me trying to find my Nintendo Game Bit, which is usually really easy to access. I don't know why it's not right here waiting for me. A couple weeks ago, my OCD kicked in ultra hard, and I just cleaned like everything and reorganized it. And it's mostly been awesome, but occasionally I'll just be like, okay, what did I do with that one thing? Or I'll knock something slightly out so it wasn't exactly where I left it, and then I have a hard time finding it. Definitely suggest battery-powered tools for GameCube, just because there's like 9,000 screws on the inside. Okay, a handy little screw magnet thing. Nice and clean so far. So I believe to get to this, I have to take out the fan and the power, and then the main, this just pops out, so that's nothing. And then the main CD-ROM drive, and then I'll be able to get the flex cable in. And then when I put it back, I believe I put this in its place. Is that where that goes? Yeah, right there with the notch and the 3 screws back, and that should hold the board in place. Am I right, Greg? I don't want to let you down live on stream here. Oh, there's a tiny little screw here. Another plastic piece. I could obviously just look at the instructions on LaserBear's website, but part of the thing I like to do, probably annoyingly to everybody who makes these things, is also just kind of try to figure it out, because we're nerds. We all say read the instructions. How many of us read the instructions on the first shot? How many of us are just like, I'll figure it out, and then we don't? Hey, what's up, Ian? Flip the mount 180, it goes closer to the controller board. Oh, so it would be like this. I will reference an instruction. I'm just guessing at first just to kind of take a look. Alright, that's cool, that's cool. So now I will start with the 9,000 little screws to hold all this other stuff in. There's some surprises today too. There's some fun ones. Right. I think if I remember correctly, all these screws were the same length, but I guess let me just find out now. Yeah, so I'm just going to throw them all together in my magnetic screw holder thingy. Now I'm going to get the smaller screwdriver to take out the tiny little screws in front. Yeah, right? That was the... Yeah. Okay. Do I need... Oh, there's more in back. I forgot about those too. Ooh, I messed up. Did y'all see that? I just snapped the plastic. I barely put any pressure on that. I didn't just out the side. I just pushed my thumb on it to get it around the plastic, and that snapped. That's what you get working on 20, 30, 40-year-old equipment. Plastic gets brittle. Okay, and same thing. Yeah, okay. Let me check the chat. I need my little screwdriver. Just stab myself with my little poker. Yeah, that's a terrible screwdriver. I'm going to get a better one. Years ago, Dan from PixelFX taught me about this one. And it's great, and the battery lasts a stupidly long time. It's good for little screws. I think I'd recommended it once on a stream or something, and people were enraged that it wouldn't unscrew giant console screws. It's like, no, this is for small stuff. It's funny, every time I break it out on stream, I use it, and then I realize I haven't charged it since the last time I took it out on stream. And I plug it in with a USB cable, charge it up while I'm streaming, and that's it. It's the only time this thing ever gets charged. Alright. Put this aside, and of course plug this in. Alright, and now let's wiggle, wiggle. Okay. Alright, let me open up the flex cable. Okay. So once you get it in, you have to tear it right here. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Greg probably just face palmed so hard. Like, no, no. All right. So I believe top DVD drive side, and then bottom GameCube motherboard side. So I think I know how this goes, but I'm going to double check Greg's website just because. I'm, actually, hold on. The link should be in here. Yeah, the link to the RetroRGB page that has both Greg's and Makio's are right there, including the video from Tito and Greg's install guide and all that stuff. So that's why I left that, because it has all the links for you. All right, so let me cheat a little bit and just check. Oh, PicoLoader? PicoLoader? I'm probably saying it wrong either way. Alright, so Greg folding it in half where the two pieces meet.
Right here where these two edges
are. Okay, that's exactly what I expected, but good that I referenced this. So, am I still clear on camera here? Let me... This is actually my first time doing one of these. So, we'll see how this goes. Alright, so... Get that out of the way. So, top DVD side... Alright, so... Let me look at this video again. Greg makes it look so easy in his video here. The great John Zini, what's up? I'll drop a link to this in the description too, just because why not, right? If anybody wants to see what I'm referencing. So Greg just jumped in to remind me no hard creases, which I do remember, but that's also kind of good practice for all flex cables. All right. So there's some W wiggling going on over here. So, the goal of this... Hey, Axel, you didn't miss nothing. I just disassembled the GameCube, and I'm about to install Greg's PicoLoader. So, obviously, I'm going to be plugging this in first. Because I'm super old, I'm going to have to get my second pair of glasses to look at that. It's always so embarrassing. Hey, Shadow Bask. Alright. Goes right in. So that slid right in, and then the plastic piece snapped right down. It's about as easy as it gets. I have to switch. When I started RetroRGB, I had no clue I would still be doing it when I got so old that I needed a pile of glasses around me in order to actually do my job. Ugh. All right, so I think I gotta fold it in half and then fold it up again, and right about where this is. And no hard creases, just some gentle massaging. Just a little gentle massaging here. And if I ruined Greg's flex cable, I have Makios here, and the other one I'm doing will have to be another day. Okay, no hard creases, just like a little massage. Little massage. Okay. Greg, could I cut this flap off? Like this entire loop section? Or should I just leave it and tuck it underneath or something? Like this. Should I just leave that to make it easier to remove? I'm going to have to look in there with some glasses in a minute. Let me grab the light. It's slightly askew, but not really. I think that should be mostly okay. Oh, and do I need to prepare the PicoLoader, Greg? Or is there already something on here? I completely forgot. Alright, do not snip it. It carries data. Haha. Okay. I assumed it was there for a reason. I just didn't understand if it was to make it easier to pull or if it was exactly what you just said. So, I'm going to try putting this on very slowly and very carefully. I have to do something with the... I have to do something with the metal case. Let me check Greg's installation instructions too. Swiss is pre-installed. You the man, Greg. You the man. Alright, so it looks like in Greg's video he's running it around, which is easy and doable. But let me just double check. Because this has this little slit in it right here. Let me just massage that out a little bit. Oh, that's about as easy as it gets. Wow. Okay, so I think we're good, but I think now would be a good time to plug it in and try it. Alright, I think everything's good enough. I'm just going to power it on. Hey, what's up, Neo? Doing a PicoLoader, but then I'm also going to be checking some other stuff too. The other stuff is going to be the fun part. Okay, so let's see what this says. An error has occurred. Alright, so I might not have lined up the flex cable just right. Let me just power it on one more time just in case. Alright, so let me open it up and look again. Maybe it was a little bit too askew. Alright, so power and carby are unplugged. Am I still in view? Yes, okay. Wiggle, wiggle. Let me grab, another pair of glasses here and look. I don't think anything was damaged. So about Cube Boot, I love the idea, and that's something that if I were a hardcore GameCube user, I would definitely do. But I really only play GameCube when I'm testing or when I occasionally want, a GameCube game that doesn't happen very often. So I'm going to leave it to Swiss because that's what I'm always going to use. Just like the 240p test suite, it's always the #1 ROM on everything that I use. So top DVD drive side, bottom GC motherboard side. That is pretty darn self-explanatory. Let me get it back with another W wiggle. There are no rips or tears of any kind in the flex cable. Let me see. I got a plastic spudger. Maybe I could use that. Just massage this sucker in a little bit. At least I had one. All right, here it is. I don't know. This might be too thick. What's up, nearest neighbor? No, that's too thick. I gotta get it really thin. Maybe just a thin flathead, very gentle. All right, that seemed fine. Same thing, I'm just wrapping this over. Gonna run that alongside. Well, that's taking it off a long time. Am I missing something here? Maybe the Carby's not plugged in all the way? Nothing's lighting up. Okay, well that's not a good sign. Let me try that again. Alright, so there must have been a short or something, right? Otherwise, why else would it have been an issue? Interesting. Okay. So, Greg, if you're still here, this has got to be how it goes, right? I'm not screwing anything up here. Top DVD drive side, bottom GC motherboard side. That's as self-explanatory as it gets. And it's plugged in like this. Am I missing anything here? I could plug this into my PC too. Might have shorted the flex. Yeah, possibly. All right, let me plug this into my PC just to see, just to double check. All right, Greg in the chat just confirmed I at least have it plugged in correctly, which is, would have been embarrassing, but it also would have been awesome, because if that's the only issue, then whatever. I don't mind being a moron. I plugged in the Pi and nothing came up. Isn't it supposed to open up as if it was something on my PC? I'll move the capture device out of the way for now. Let me just double check and see it's not in the device manager or something. Hold the button while plugging it in. Greg, it's totally okay if you actually said hold the button while plugging it in, you moron. Because you're right, I completely forgot to do that. All right, it says rpi-rpi2, and there's an index and an info.uf2.txt, but nothing else in here. Is that correct? Actually, why don't I just show you my desktop? So that's it. That's all that's in here. I actually happen to have Swiss right here if we need anything. I believe there's PicoLoader and Pico boot right there if we need one of these. Greg says, so the Pi is fine. That's how you flash them. Okay. So the files aren't going to be stored there. You just drop it into Flash. Okay, that makes sense. So you could tell it has been a long time since I've messed with any of the Pico stuff. Totally forgot how to do all of it, basically. Okay. So let me try putting it back in one more time and just seeing what I could have shorted. Oh, and let me unplug the power. That would definitely help. Could I power it up without the DVD drive just to see? Is that doable? There might not be enough pressure on the pins. But, you know. I guess let me just do it and see. Can't be any worse than the other way. I'm getting a light on the Pico. We got GameCube. Same thing. It has the plastic plug for that with it. Oh, that's what that was? Oh. Wow, I am a total fucking moron sometimes. That makes sense, though. Alright, that's in. We still have power on the Pico. No. Huh. Have you seen this before, Greg? I mean, as always, number one, assume it's me, but have you seen this before? Because I can't confirm if it reads discs, because I actually don't have any GameCube games. Oh, now this is stuck. Alright, I got that. I did not rip the flex cable when I just pulled that out. You know, that just felt like it slid in easier. I'm going to put this back on one more time just to see. Maybe I was slightly off-centered the other times. Still getting power on everything. Obviously nothing shorting. I don't know why I'm not getting video signal because... Alright. Poop. Usually happens with ripped flexes. Alright, well, I do have another one here I could try, but let me see. I don't see any rips whatsoever. There's a slight crimping over here, but I mean, it's slight, and there's no rips whatsoever. There's no tears. Nothing. Nothing. Okay, let me try the other one I have here then. Maybe I broke that one. We shall see. Is the flex cable in the Pico board correctly and fully? You know what? It's a great question. I mean, I was getting a light on the Pico board, but correctly and fully is definitely a good suggestion. All right, so pin side down. Yeah, I don't think I could have made that mistake. But I'll try one more time. A great suggestion too. I'm not crapping on your suggestion. I'm just saying, based on how it was in there, I don't think that could have been off. All right, go power on that. Okay. Worth a try, though, everybody. Worth a try. So the next suggestion was just put just the DV drive back on just to make sure. Yep, no error. Smart. Good troubleshooting step. All right, so let me try the other one just to see. By the way, just because I didn't see any tears doesn't mean there aren't any. It just means I didn't see them. So I could very well have caused this. Whoop, come back, come back. All right, come back. Okay. Oh, there's 2 flex cables in this one. All right, great. So if I broke the other flex, I could still probably use the same one. Yeah. So apparently there are eye drops I could take that I would not need glasses at all anymore, but it makes everything really, really dark. I don't know if that would actually make anything better for me. So, well, I don't know. All right, top DVD drive side. So very careful W's. Very careful W's. Okay. All right. So, let's all be honest. Anybody who's seen these streams before knows I probably broke that flex cable. All right. Well, let's start with this one. I do have a second GameCube to do, so I will try both flex cables on the other. But for now, since that boots into Swiss, a question for everybody here who knows about this stuff. If I wanted to update the version of Swiss that's on this, do I need to do it with the USB? Or could I do it by booting into Swiss and then loading the newer version with another one? I had completely forgotten. It's been so long since I used it. If Extrems is here, he's definitely face palming and annoyed with me. Sorry, my friend. It's just been so long since I've had time to use one. I just forgot. And there's also a spacer here with this one. Anybody know what the spacer is for? I would have to use USB. Okay, so let me get this screwed in, and then let's do that together. I'll use the power screwdriver again for the ones that are easy, but I think it's best that I'm just careful now that it's in and it seems to be working. I should have one screw left over because Makio's kit covers that extra screw, which is fine. It's not a problem. I'm just saying, if we see a screw left over afterwards, it's not a bad thing. Okay, a couple more to go. Uh-oh, it looks like I have 2 screws left. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Oh, one right there. Okay, never mind. That's perfect. Yeah. All right, that checks. Let me get these silly things back on. Okay, we've got the plug in to charge. So it's just charged for the next stream. All right, so I think I just need to connect this with USB, and let me check the chat and see what you all say about what files I need to drop in. If I plan on using SD to SP2, which I do, and I'll show that off in a second, name the latest Swiss version doll as autoexec.doll and place it on the root of the SD card. Right. Instead of having to reflash the Pico every time. All right, well, let's try that with the case open. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm not going to put the screws in, but I am going to drop the case over this so I can show you the other thing I got, which I'm very excited to try. This is Greg's ST to SP2 Ace, and it plugs in the side and gives you awesome SD access right there without having to mess with anything. So I am just going to drop I'll show my desktop again just to make sure I'm doing it right here. Lid open. Did I do something wrong? All right, so I dropped the Swiss folder on here just to have it, but the doll file, swiss.doll, copy, paste, and just auto exec. And I don't think there's a space or anything like that. I think it's just, I'm going by memory here, but let's try it. All right. Nice. I was able to easily get to it. Greg has it contoured. So let me flip this over. Careful. This. Plug in the Carby, and we'll see what happens. Configuration device, SD card, SD to SP2. That's what we want, right? Swiss video mode. Auto, I think, is good for now. Just go through boot mode default, stereo. What are the different boot modes? Yeah, okay. Oh, Razer X Gaming. If you lower the top shell down onto the GameCube with the lid closed, it could break off the fragile lid switch fingers. I don't ever remember knowing that. Thank you for telling me. Huh. So 0.6 is the newest one? The one that was actually already on there anyway? Oh, y'all look what I did. You want to see how stupid that is? I'm trying to launch a 7-zip file. Wow. Full moron. Okay. That is very funny. Yeah, R2041 is the one that's on there. That's the one that, here, let me just show you my display. So R2041, that's what was on here, and that's what I had moved over. That was very stupid of me. Also very funny. Are my GameCube games in 7-zip form? There are. Great. Great. We're really only going to need one game for testing today anyway. So is there anything else I would need to know about doing this? Should I just put this latest version of Swiss and PicoLoader on here? Should I just drop that onto the USB just to get this to the latest one anyway? In fact, let's here, while that's copying, let me just power this on again without the SD to SP2 plugged in. And it looks like Rev 1913. So if I wanted to update it, that's all I would have to do, right? Start with it powered on, and then Razer X Gaming, there's no need. Okay, so once I put the SD to SP2 back in, the rev up here in the upper right, that should say the correct one. That'll be done in 15 seconds, so we'll find out, I guess. Okay. Plug this back in. Still says 1913. So let me load this just for the heck of it, just to make sure, and then I'm gonna probably do the USB update just because. And I'll double check. So, all right, you know what? This is a great test. All right, I'll show my desktop again to see if this is working properly. All right. So, well, that would have to be, so autoexec.dal is right here. That's the patches and settings. I'm just going to delete this because this was just the new zip extracted. I just want to do that to not confuse people. So that's all this was. So that was that .dal file. I'll delete that as well. So here's the new version of Swiss. And I'm assuming what I would need then, that's for booting it off of a CD. So all I would need is the DAL file, right? Or the, well, let's just do this because I'm curious now. Yeah, so it won't work with ISOs. I didn't think it would. I thought it would have to be .dal, but I just wanted to check just in case. I'll put these in, and then I'll boot to that and see, and then I'll rename it again after that. Slow troubleshooting, boring, I know, but this is how we learn. All right, so just loading this. Interesting. Do you see in the upper right now it says revision 2041? Just by having it in the root. Y'all see that? In the upper right hand corner, if there's the date code that's 2001, and then it says commit and then revision 2041 just by having it there. Let me All right, so now I'm powering it up without the SD card plugged in. It says 1913. So just by having the Swiss files there in the root, and I'm going to power it off, and I'm going to put this back in. $2041. I bet you that's some Extremes magic right there. That's what that feels like to me. All right. Well, I couldn't be more happy with this solution. So let's take a look at some of the other stuff that we got. The first that I want to show is, well, actually, since I know I don't actually have to do anything to this anymore, I should bolt this back together. Lid switch still looks intact. I don't actually have a disc to test, but we'll see. So, I guess what I should always do with these is try it with just this first, and then screw it down with the power. And with plastic, you always go back until you feel it pop, and then you start to hand tighten it. All right. Okay. So here's another thing that Greg sent over that I definitely wanted to show that I thought was very cool. Oh, I guess I could just put this port cover back on because I won't need it. But this is the broadband adapter that Greg sells that should be able to do local LAN battling and stuff like that. So I love how this looks completely factory on both sides. Like, that's what an official micro SD reader would have looked like if Nintendo had made it. That is just super, super cool. Is my case off? Wait a minute. That looks wrong. Let me double check this. Yeah, looks like it was slightly off-centered. I don't know if that would have really hurt anything, but I'd rather not mess with it. Okay. Now that looks like what a factory micro SD would have looked like. That's very, very, very cool. The other thing that I wanted to show is a USB adapter that Makio just released. And if anybody follows my second channel, which has been just a blast, by the way, this is that adapter I was talking about. Right angle adapter that allows an Ethernet adapter to be plugged in. And I want to test this one out too real quick. So, you know what, just to, I did speed test this thing, but just to reduce the amount of stuff I'm testing on the first boot, let's plug that in like this. Now, SMB, FTP, so I think I need to configure it in the settings screen back here. SD Master Yoda, I just saw it there. 1913 has the auto exec load, then it boots 2041. But I didn't touch anything on the SD card, so. So I would need to add the IP address. So let me ping RetroNAS. Oh, wait a minute. That was my IP address. Hold on. I should leave that blank, right? For DHCP. I would think. Do I have to manually put that in? Has anybody done that? Yeah, IP4 uses DHCP. Sorry about that. Getting ahead of myself. SMB host IP. Now that's the IG address. All right. Ooh. SMB share. So what would I put for a RetroNAS share? You know, as embarrassing as this is, I haven't actually loaded up RetroNAS in a very, very, very long time. I mean, it's always running, but I never need it. So let me look this up real quick, and I will move my screen over too. And it's -9090, I believe. Let me, or colon 9090. Nope. Wow, this is embarrassing. I use this all the time, and I did the launch video for it, but I don't need the interface anymore, really. I'm just going to look through the wiki now. Okay, the file service protocol is what I would need for that. So I need Swiss, need the broadband adapter, latest version, ROMs, Nintendo, GameCube, ISO. All right, I could do that too. Here, let me I'll share my screen here so y'all could just watch me fumble. So I got RetroNAS here, RetroNAS, ROMs, Nintendo, GameCube, and these are all 7-zips because I'm a moron sometimes. So it says ROMs, Nintendo, GameCube, ISO. But I would have to install that into GameCube first, or into RetroNAS first, I believe. So, and let's do Mario Kart, just because. I think it's actually probably easier if I do it from my PC to that, because I think it would actually copy it back and forth across the network if I didn't. As weird as that sounds, that is how Windows works. All right, so that should actually work. All right, so I would definitely need to install this. And then after installing, don't make me watch my own video. That's always super embarrassing. That's obviously all running. I am going to have to watch my own video, aren't I?
This video is going to be...
Okay. How do I get to cockpit? Come on, stop talking, you fat fuck. All right. Dash 9090, that's what I had put here. Because if I ping RetroNAS, it's 192.168.185. 192.168.185-9090. I'm going to have to SSH in, aren't I? I forgot the... I think it was just at RetroNAS. Wow, my brain is shot today. I wish I could blame allergies, because those are really messing with me, but I think I haven't done this in so long, my brain hurts. And while I'm at this, let me just get here, F0. Yeah, we'll do that here, and I'll just delete all the rest of the stupid 7-zip files. So at least those are there now and working. All right, let's port 2021. Okay. Thanks for swapping by, Greg. I do appreciate it, though. All right, let me try 2021. No. All right, I'm going to switch back for a different view, and I'm going to just test something real quick, because I did accidentally break my Unraid server, so this might actually be part of it. Oh, I just hit the wrong command. I totally brain farted. Hold on. Let me, I'll pull the view right back up. Here we go. guess I could do that afterwards. So yes. All right. Update. For somebody that incessantly complains about the command line to my Linux friends, this is actually how I prefer to run RetroNAS anyway. SSHing in it. Yeah, sure. Update those. It's been years since I've done this because RetroNAS has just worked. And Nintendo, GameCube, ISO, it's all still right there. Install. And the thing to install was File Service Protocol, FSP. Nintendo GameCube and Swiss FSP server. Bam. Install FSP. So while that's installing, all right, press enter to continue. Start service. Query service status. Started. Yep, that's all fine. Install that. We just did that. Take note of your RetroBAS IP address. I think we just saw it anyway because I had to log into it, but whatever. It doesn't. Just wanted to see if they showed it here. Yep. DHCP server. Yep. FSP host ID. So that's what we're looking for right now. See if I move that over slightly so you can see it a little better. Okay. I feel like I'm doing this wrong. Let me save and exit for now and then just go back in. All right. File browser type. FSP. Port 21, password. Okay, FSP host IP. That should be all I think we need, right? Let me double check these instructions here. did that. 2121 should be it already. Nope. 2121. Okay. Save and exit. Okay. Navigate, check button, navigate to file service protocol. Okay. File service protocol. Cool. Might have to reboot, but that's fine too. What? What is this? Well, that's not good. Alright, let's try. Maybe that game's broken. Nope. Alright. So what did we miss? Sounds like there might be permissions issues or something. So I can get out of here. Back. I know this is not the scope of this, but I just want to go through it really quick and just look at how much has been added. I'm not going to get into it. I just want to scroll through. Automatically convert PS1 images, pop starter. This is nuts. I can't believe how far this project's gone. Very, very crazy. Okay, let me exit. I'll come back to rebooting and we'll see what happens. All right. Interesting. So it remembered and booted to the network. Because remember, on this SD card, I don't have F0. I bet you there's some kind of weird permissions thing going on right now. So let's take a look at the Swiss config file and see what happened. I'm going to power the sucker off. There we go. Settings. FSP password. Now, what should that be? Let me look up in here. Because that shouldn't actually need anything, right? It just says port and the host IP. Interesting. Out of curiosity, I'm gonna boot this sucker to the Swiss that's built into. I don't need that anymore. That's built into this, and I wonder if I could just boot to the network here. Not even needing a micro SD card, which I highly recommend everybody gets one anyway, but for a whole bunch of reasons. But I'm just curious. The password is already there. So let me just go down and save and see what happens. Oh, it said config failed to save because it probably can't save directly to it. Well, let me just see anyway. Wow, that actually worked. All right, my guess is this is a permissions issue. If there's anybody here that's proficient in RetroNAS, or if anybody wants to try, Razor, this is off of the Pico loader, so that was just an extra test for that. So if anybody wants to do that, or anybody has the guts to bother extrems, just let me know, and I'm gonna go mod that other one real quick, and see. That should be a much easier one overall because we've already done it. This should just be a quick couple of seconds. I could even clean up some of the stuff I don't need. Move this over here. All right. So just while I'm doing this, what I was just doing was testing to see if I even needed an SD card at all, or if I could just run the whole thing off of PicoLoader. You wouldn't really want to do that though, because you'd always want access to boot a game. There's always a reason to have something else here. I was just curious. That was it. It was just pure curiosity. All right, so Ryan from Castlemania Games sent me this one. He wants me to do a case swap on it. And let's start same as the other one, just by making sure it works. And then maybe if anybody in the chat's bored enough to look up what I'm doing wrong here with network loading of games. Hey, thanks, Mr. Mega Man fan. Really appreciate it. So the GameCube does boot. Always something you got to deal with. I also wanted to check too. Probably should have checked this before. Links in the chat. RazorX Gaming. Okay. RazorX also uses Unraid and have had issues like this with other stuff. Under Unraid, go to Shares, then navigate to where I have the GameCube ROM folder. Alright, let me just try that then. I also had Shares issues recently with my video folders, so RetroNAS, click on the Share. At the bottom of the Unraid screen, click Permissions and change that to Read Write. It is already at Read Write. Although I'm seeing under NFS a different IP address in here. That's NFS, by the way. So I don't know. That could very well be it. I would actually have to check with Ed from Space Invader 1 about this as well. But when you say read and write, do you mean under SMB user access? Oh, wait a minute. I understand what you mean now. Hold on a minute. Let me do this. I get it now. How can I make this small enough for you to see? Okay. So under the shares, highlight GameCube, and group and other, we're at read only. So now let me save these. Done. Okay. I think that's what you meant. And you know what else I'm going to do? Hold on. Let me bring you all back up here. I'm going to go into RetroNAS. GameCube. Games. And let me just try. Okay, I can create a text file. Because when I had Unraid permission issues before, I couldn't even do that. So, let me bring the other one back for a second then. That would be pretty neat if that's all it was. And if that's all it was, thank you so much. I'm going to write a little guide on that, a little video as well too or something. Oh, it would help if I plugged the Ethernet cable in, huh? Dum-dum. Alright. There we go. Plug that in, and I need the controller port too. Well, uh-oh. Alright, power off. Wait, do I have... Wait. Hold on. Stupid mistake. I didn't have the SD card back in. Okay. There we go. RazorX. Wow. Thank you. Holy crap. I'm going to have to whip up a guide for this real quick. Probably not until tonight or tomorrow, but wow. Thank you. That was awesome. So right now we're playing Mario Kart Double Dash without anything. This is just right over the network across RetroNAS on the GameCube. Wow. Rolling Rocking, I sort of did that, but I think maybe just an overview video might be kind of cool. The Unraid team was kind enough to give me a like a burner license, so like I could just install it, build a setup, show you all what to do, then erase it, install it again. You know, basically like a free demo just to have. So maybe I should do that and just show a very quick RetroNAS on Unraid video. Because I still love Unraid. I lost a lot of data the other day. Turns out it was 100% my fault. It was a drive failure, and it was, instead of being a full hardware failure, it was a file system failure, and I just followed the wrong instructions. That was it. All right, well, that's kind of nuts. Cool, cool. Let's whip together this other one and test that too, but wow. So that means that now, with a cheap network adapter and Makio's USB adapter, that and don't forget this nice right angle adapter, you could have just a perfect setup here. You don't even, like, you really, I would still strongly recommend still having Swiss. And I would also strongly recommend a micro SD card with at least your favorite games on it, just in case. Same thing with like PS2 over the network. But yeah, that is really cool. That is just really cool. All right, I'm gonna put these aside. I gotta put these away for Ryan so I don't lose any of his stuff. All right, so anybody who's been suffering through this stream since the beginning, y'all think I could get this PicoLoader solder or flex cable in on the first try? We'll see. This is actually kind of cool because while I imagine it's probably boring, I could at least try to find this timestamp. And if this goes as smoothly as I think, I could just tell people, hey, skip to this part of the stream to see everything in action. And we're going to put that new case on too. So we're going to have to take the whole thing apart. It's going to take a few extra minutes, but whatever. I'll take the whole thing apart. I'll try rebooting it one more time to make sure I didn't break anything. Then I'll put that flex cable in. And then we'll try everything else on here. And I could send this back to Ryan fully kicking. You know, now that I think about it, Ed, Space Invader 1, was supposed to do a RetroNAS video. He's been off the charts busy, so I'm not busting his chops or anything. But because when somebody just mentioned it in the chat, I'm thinking, why didn't I? I love RetroNAS. Any excuse to make a video on it, I would. But I think Ed was going to do it, and he's the Unraid guy by far. So I'll follow up with him. I got to annoy him about something else anyway. So I'll see. I actually migrated my Unraid server over to one of those fancy Ugreen boxes, and I love it. I was just so nervous. Like, am I going to trust like a dedicated NAS box? Why wouldn't I over an old PC? And yeah, it's been very cool. Smaller, quieter, drives run cooler. And I'm going to repurpose the other one as an older capture PC, which I'll do, of course, do a live stream on that too. Oh, since I have my fellow nerds in the chat, on Twitter, many times I've seen people post like, here's the latest Windows 7, homebrew that has all, network drivers, some security patches, and I bookmarked it and lost the bookmark. What are people using these days if you need to go back to Windows 7 for something? There's got to be people who do what I used to do and have and maintain fully updated versions, and I know I've seen people post about it. I just lost the post. Let me check the chat really quick. What's good about a Ugreen box? From an Unraid perspective, it's simply a very small PC that already is set up from a hardware perspective to act as a NAS, meaning 6 drive bays, fans designed to keep hard drives cool, compact. It's really just a form and function. So what's better than a PC from a functionality point of view? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And probably if you're just comparing it to using your own PC, you could piece within the last decade, any old PC you could turn into an Unraid server, give or take, depending on what you're looking to do with it. So I would even say from that perspective, you might even call it a downgrade because it's expensive and you don't really need it if all you're doing is just serving up some files. However, for me, who space is an issue, I really wanted to make sure I was able to... Are there any screws down here? I was really wanted to make sure I was able to get everything I needed done in a smallest place and repurpose a computer. So it's, you know, it was really cool that I was able to get that. Plus, I want to be able to do videos on it to teach other people how to use stuff. So I could just pull out my drives, which sounds like a lot of work and kind of dangerous, but it's actually not. You just power it down safely, pull out the drives, pull out the USB stick, because Unraid runs off a USB, and then it's just back to a standard Ugreen NAS. So then I could throw a spare drive in, do some videos teaching people how to do some of the cool stuff I've been doing, and that's it. And then put it all back together. As long as you power it down properly, there shouldn't be any issues. Also, Unraid has the ability to boot off of SSDs now. I don't like it because over the years, this is probably the 5th PC my Unraid setup is installed in, and 50% of the time it was as easy as unplugging and replugging and setting the new computer to boot from USB. The other, 49% of the time there were issues that could be solved by me without needing expert help. And only this last time did I need Ed to step in and tell me what the heck I did. And we don't really know what happened, to be honest. It should have, it probably could have been fixed a lot easier. But yeah, that was, so basically one issue that mattered after many swaps of PCs and years of use. That's a win to me. Oh, here. Tons of little screws, huh? A pain in the ass. Alright, well, time to break out the new one then. Is this all in some... Yeah, let me hide this. Sorry. Rolling rocking, that's actually not a problem at all, and RazorX just brought up a good point. You should be constantly backing up the boot SD. I forgot for like 3 years. However, I did, right before I swapped the hard drive over, I backed it up, so there wasn't an issue. Of course there's more. Wait, does this pop out? Or is there more? No, screws. Okay. Great, more screws. What Nintendo went through to make this thing a cube? Could have just made it a console. kidding. New plastic, it's always hard to get the screws to screw in. So you gotta like tap it at the same time as you're screwing it in. Kind of a pain, but whatever. Okay. And motherboard. Alright, I think I'm doing this right, but I'm just going to wait here a minute and let the chat tell me if I missed anything, and I'm going to take this moment to swap over the front adapter, just in case any of you kind people might remind me if I just missed something, and I'm going to have to take this whole thing apart all over again. Which, let me tell you, every time I work on an N64, I always forget that piece in the front. It's inevitable. I always got to go back, and it just drives me crazy, and it's 100% my fault. And also, it looks like this kit comes with new doors to swap out. That's pretty interesting. How hard is it with that little... I'm going to hate myself for doing this with bad eyes, but we'll see. Under Unraid, you click main, then flash backup. That's funny. I just power it off and do it manually. And while that's probably not the best way to do it, I could guarantee you it definitely works because that's how I swapped my USB stick recently. Also, I'm not sure if y'all heard my just random rant at the end of last week about SD cards, but that was 100% true. I don't know why I used some no-name brand for my Unraid server. I must have done something like the last time I swapped servers, needed a new one or something. I obviously something happened, but it was working fine, and then all of a sudden, when I tried backing it up, it was so slow, and it was running at 16 megabytes a second. So, and I hadn't backed it up in a long time. So if I hadn't tried swapping my Unraid server over, who knows, that might have failed. Might have lost it. Wait. What is going on? Why is it not? I forgot a piece, didn't I? See? Y'all were supposed to be looking out. I knew I forgot a piece. Ha. I couldn't only imagine the internal discussions at Nintendo about making it a cube, and their engineers explaining what it would take to bolt this thing together like a cube versus how much less it would have cost to make if they just did a standard design. Shout out to Dan. Love that little screwdriver. Alright. Get this together. Is there a trick to removing these? Is it really just as easy as bending the bending this thing back and popping it out? Probably would help if you don't lose the spring. Are they both the same too? Yep. All right, that's good at least. I can't remember if I've ever done a case swap before on a GameCube. Oh, well, that's about as stupidly easy as it gets. Okay. I didn't even have to switch glasses for this one. Haha. Cool. All right, that's in. This will be in when it's ready. Let me bolt this in its place. Then I'll do the flex cable, and then we'll try this sucker out. Check the chat again, just in case. This should have been crazier and done a sphere. Nice and solid. Plug that flex cable back in. Okay. Speaking of flex cables, top DVD side. Okay. All right, so let's get our W wiggle on. I feel like I'm doing something wrong on this one. Let me try this again. Just kind of smushing, not creasing or anything like that. All right. So what do y'all think? Did I break it, or do you think I got it? I would not give myself more than 50-50, but we'll see. Moment of truth. Like that. Lights are all on. Huh. All right, so look, maybe something got corrupt. Maybe it's not the flex cable. Maybe something got corrupt with this the PicoLoader board itself. So let's try plugging that into the PC and seeing what we could do. We don't need the RetroNAS stuff anymore. I don't need this anymore. All right, so hold the button down. Plug that in. So if I remember correctly, all right, so that's it. It automatically shut itself off or rebooted, and that's it. So that should all be all I need. This is PicoLoader. If I said Pico boot, that's totally my fault. All right, let's eject this sucker, and let's try plugging it back in, and we'll go from here. Me ruining one flex cable, very, very possible. Me ruining multiple, I don't know. Definitely not impossible, that's for sure. You all seen my streams, but... All right, let me take a closer look at all of this stuff then. The flex cable is a little bit differently sized on Greg's. I think it's just to help position it into place. Excuse my giant head. Let me just try to... No. Yeah, okay. What about removing this altogether? That should do nothing, because this is just a pass-through, so it should just work, right? There would be no error, because there's no data getting tapped from it. I'm guessing. I'm just guessing. Whoa, weird. Okay. Alright, well... There are absolutely no rips and tears in this one, and this one's semi-transparent. So there's not an issue there at all. Definitely not. Let me put Greg's cable back into this one. trying it without the Pico plugged in, and then I'm going to try it again with it. I imagine this is going to throw an error, because that's apparently what it does if you don't, with just the ribbon cable. Yeah, okay. So my gut always goes to I did something wrong when it's stuff like this, except anybody who's been suffering through this whole stream saw me when I switched over to the other one. I got it on the first try. So I'm starting to wonder if either there's something, did I accidentally short this thing out, the actual PicoLoader itself? Let me try one more time, and if not, we'll just have to do a follow-up stream, which I obviously won't have a problem with. Jeez, I gotta swap freaking glasses a bunch of times. Yeah, interesting. Okay. No, Vic, thanks. Keep them coming. That's I appreciate it. Well, let me pull it apart one more time and see. And I could always do a follow-up stream too, because there's actually some more GameCube related stuff coming out soon. Nope. We'll go right to Swiss. Business, I think the retrobit component cables aren't perfect. I think they have issues. So generally the GameCube experts don't love them. If you're just looking for a decent enough solution, I think they're totally fine. But if you're, really hardcore into this, you're probably going to want to look into getting a Carby, and you could also get that cheap $20 HDMI to component video converter if you need component video. But that's totally up to you. Alright, so this looks like it is perfectly centered. Okay. And once again, I'm trying the Laser Bear Pico, which it doesn't quite line up the same. Yeah, I'm not sure if the flex cables are going to be compatible at all, because there's a play in this one. So this might be a completely futile effort, especially if I had broken Greg's cable. Then none of this would work anyway. Well, I'll try one last time. No. All right. So that's a big no. All right. So I could continue to at least assemble it back to the way it was, so Ryan could have his nice orange GameCube, and I'll figure out what to do about the PicoLoader. But my guess is the cable, because I gotta re-explain it for anybody who's just joining. I had the PicoLoader from Greg here, and I had the PicoLoader from Makio as well, and I probably broke this cable on my first try. There's some crimps in it now. Flex cables are really sensitive, so that's probably what happened. But the cable itself is slightly different than Makio's, and it doesn't fit in the same exact connector. So I think that's what the issue was, and is I probably just broke that. That flex cable is probably fine, but it doesn't fit into this one exactly the same. But that's not a scenario most people would run into. Most people are not going to have multiples of these. So I'm just going to put this back together as is. And I'll apologize to Greg later for screwing up his cable. So I guess that's probably a good lesson for people to learn. If you're going to be buying one of these and you're kind of clumsy like I could be most of the time, you might want to see if the seller sells backup flex cables. Makio sent 2 with mine, probably because he knows this is how Bob streams go. So it might be worth just buying a second flex cable with your kit, just in case. And if you're going to throw out a flex cable, I hate waste, but I mean, really, what are you losing there? A couple bucks, probably. Because if I had bought a second one from Greg, that would have just been it. I would have just probably said, okay, now that I know how to make the W, let me do it right without messing it up. Okay, that's in front controller ports. Yeah, that new plastic. It's hard to screw these things down. The electric screwdriver part won't even work. But once you tap it, it's fine after that. You just got to make sure not to strip or break the screw head. Oh, put this in upside down, didn't I? Did I bolt it in upside down? I must have. That's so funny. What a moron. That's how this goes. So that goes here. Did I have it upside down? Oh, that's a good question. I think I must have. Huh. Well, of all the bonehead mistakes to make, I'll take that one. That's pretty easy. I think what's messing with me is one of these things doesn't exactly line up. Let me grab the original and see. Because this would definitely go in that way. Flat side up. Yeah, I don't know what the heck my issue was. Let's try this again. To make sure I'm not going crazy here. I guess I am putting it upside down. I wonder if it's the plastic's a little different. Let me check the chat and I could watch y'all make fun of me for this, which is totally fair, by the way. Okay, that went in all nice and easy. It came with two rear adapters, one for without and one for with the digital port. This one has it, so that's a non-issue. And let's see what else the sucker came with. So I gotta assemble the top piece, which is fine. A pretty cool looking one, huh? Alright, so I'm not gonna need this. We will need this. So I think it's going to require me to take off the stuff from the original, maybe? I guess that's my only complaint with a lot of this aftermarket shells, is it would be so much easier if it just came with everything that you need. And I get it, not everybody wants that, the cost would be different, I understand, but just saying, it would be easier. Alright, so let's take a look at both of these then. Need the spring. And then there's a bunch of extra parts here, the gears and stuff. Let's see if any of that matches the clear ones that it came with. So I think what we have here is buttons and stuff too. This one's got the curve to it, so that's easy to figure out. If I did this right, this should just drop into place. Oh, of course not. Oh, cool. So I guess this piece must be for there. Nope. All right. So I have to steal the screws from this and let that piece fall out. All right. Funny that the most complicated thing about this so far has been the top shell. I'm getting kind of confused with. And of course I just dropped a screw. Luckily they're all basically the same though, so even if I have to use that spare screw from my installation, that should work. What do y'all think of these cases though? Do people buy the GameCube replacements? Obviously if your GameCube is all beat up and cracked, of course, but I think they look nice. I just wanted a stock black one for my setup because it just matches the setup already. check the chat. Razer uses a OEM orange Spice GameCube, but their 3D printed front and back plate is orange as well. Oh, that's cool. I think you have to get a different jewel sticker for it. Ah, green link. That stinks. Let me drop the... I forgot to put the link... Oh, and I don't know why I've had that up here. Sorry. Let me... I'll add the link to the description after this, but that's the exact one I'm using now. And it's not one of the knockoffs. Ryan doesn't sell knockoffs, so... So is that this piece? I guess it is. So you still have to remove all of the existing pieces, but then there's plastic ones to go in their place. Huh. See what time it is. I might have to call this one. Alright, I'm going to give this 5 more minutes, and if I can't get this thing together, I'm actually going to have to finish this in a different stream. Just because I had family stuff I totally forgot about. I think all I have left to do is assemble these pieces here, and that must have gone to the... I should have taken a picture or something of the other side for popping that out. I didn't realize this thing hadn't come assembled like that. It's kind of annoying. Alright, so that piece goes over there. That's easy at least. And then this must go over here somewhere, also sliding in place. That sort of looks right. I think it is. I think I just have to fish this sucker in here, sort of. Yeah, that seems right. Everybody see what the heck happened to that screw? And is this where, wait a minute, is this where the spring goes? Right here on this side? And there's a gear. I think that's probably the piece I'm missing at the moment. Gear goes there. Spring over here. I'm just guessing. I think that is it. I'll check the chat in a second. It's hilarious that the hardest thing for me by far has been trying to figure out how to put this lid back together. Oh. Hey, Phil. Yeah, all right. Wow, this is funny. Funny in a good way and funny in a bad way. I can't believe this is what I'm messing up here. So I'll put this over here. That's really funny. I'm going to have to cheat and look at a video or something, aren't I? Because that sits in that little spot. This is embarrassing and cracking me up both at the same time. All right, I'm going to cheat by looking in here. So looking in here, okay. So the curved part is in the lid. All right, I was sort of guessing, right? Has anybody else done this? This is my first time doing one of these swaps. Is it as annoying as I'm making it, or am I just being stupid right now? I don't mind if the answer is being stupid, by the way. You feel free to tell me that. I just would like to get it right. All right, got the gear in there. Place that underneath. That doesn't seem right. Do you have to put this in first like this? That'd be such a weird design. Is that it? After all that, that's it? That's all it was? I just had to just flip that one piece over? Wow. I guess this is one of those things where if I had to do 2 in a row, the second one would take just a couple of minutes, but figuring out how to get that back in was not intuitive, and I should have taken a picture. Right. But it's not acting springy. So where... So that part I got right, at least. Do I have to flip it back underneath this piece? Alright, I'm going to have to check the chat in a second. See, watch you all laughing at me here. Yeah, weird. I'll keep punching through for another minute or two, and then I'm just going to have to call it, because if we can't finish up the PicoLoader anyway, if I can find the screw for this. Uh-oh. Did I drop multiple? Use my spare from before. So the mechanism seems fine, it's just where the spring is catching doesn't seem to make sense. Unless that has to fall underneath this piece too? Let me grab some pliers. This really is my only complaint with the aftermarket shells, is how much of the originals you actually need. Because sometimes you're replacing stuff that's broken. So you actually don't have the thing from the original to put in it. Alright, so I guess that's supposed to clip underneath there. So to install it, that would mean this has to go here. Open it up. Let this piece go over it. Trap the spring inside. I'm getting so annoyed with this. What a horrible design. So this sits in the thing, in that, so that lays there. Where the hell did that spring go? If I lost the spring, I'm out of here. All right, now it's right here. I think this catches underneath there. So in order to get this all in, the gear piece has to be exactly positioned right, falling into the tray. I think like this. Because you have to have the gear in it at the same time as everything else. Okay. Wow, who the hell came up with this? This goes back to what I said, what, an hour ago? About, imagine Nintendo's boardroom, like, we have to make it a cube. Like, but why? Why can't we just make it a console? Nope, gotta be a cube. Alright. About freaking time. I don't ever want to do that again. Even though I could probably do it now in about less than 5 minutes, start to finish. That was just annoying. That was a skill I never needed to learn. See? There we go. Okay, I'll put this one aside. I guess I gotta move these last few pieces over. And maybe the jewel too. Alright, move the jewel over. That part was super easy. So I think this mechanism... Alright, I'm going to do it, but I have a feeling I'm going to really regret doing this. Because that falls there, and there's, I believe, a spring underneath as well. Is this going to be another nightmare, or is this going to be an easy one? Alright. One screw. Oh, I guess it's multi-piece. Now this is a nice design. You see that? The spring slides right through. That gets pushed up against the side. Everything falls into place. That was cool. I like that. Why couldn't the other one been like that? Okay. Beautiful. Almost done. Glad I didn't give up. What are we caught on? Nothing. Good. Alright, we are almost done with the stream. So my goal is hopefully tonight, but if not by tomorrow-ish, to get a quick write-up on that whole Ethernet adapter. I thought that was really cool. It's basically just a USB adapter on the side that allows for cheap USB 3 Ethernet adapters to work, and I was able to load games off of RetroNAS with that, which is incredible. Don't know what these are. I guess I'll find out later. Oh, there we go. The heck? What a pain in the butt to get that screw to fall in there. I wonder if it's because it's a new shell, it hadn't had the hole tapped. Or, yeah, I guess. Alright. Let's give this thing one final power up. That still works. Hey, Reinhardt, thanks so much. All right, well, it still works, so I didn't screw anything up. Yeah, the Electron Shepherd stuff is great. I don't actually, Razor, I don't have any GameCube discs, believe it or not. Ryan and Greg sent me a bunch of this stuff in order to actually make all this happen. And then shout out for Luke donating a console. That was awesome. All right, well, I'm going to clean up real quick, and then I got to bail. But this was fun and interesting, and I certainly learned a heck of a lot about Pico boot and some of the cool options that are available now. Let me put this old shell back together for Ryan. Now he's got this orange one. And I'm 99% sure what happened with the original flex cable install is that I broke the flex cable. And that's it, really. I think that's all that happened. It's because I wasn't used to doing it, which is common for these installs. I'm not embarrassed about that, believe it or not. That part, I think is okay. and I think why I can't mix and match flex cables is because I think these were designed for each one. So the flex cable from Greg was designed specifically for his version of the board, etc., etc. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what the issue would have been. So let me put these pieces together. It's funny, putting this stuff back together without the motherboard in it. It's easy to forget which side is which. That's pretty funny. Alright, I think I'm missing one last piece here. Right here. Okay, leftover case pieces. Fully assembled orange with a working lid, which took longer than everything else I did in this stream. And then just leftover pieces for mine here and stuff I should probably send back to Greg. Yeah, cool. Alright, well, this was probably 2 hours longer than it needed to be, but whatever. Let me show off Greg's one last time for anybody who didn't see the beginning of the stream. I think you all would really appreciate the whole point of this. So I installed the PicoLoader in, which is very easy as long as you don't break the flex cable, like I almost positively did. And then I showed off a couple of things. A wireless controller, which I'll do a quick little write-up on. I thought it was neat. Smash players will hate everything, so they won't like it. Greg's SD to SP2 Ace. Make sure I'm in. Hold on, let me make sure I can see my... Okay. Greg's SD to SP2 Ace. Which, you know what, this is worth getting my light out for. Yeah. Y'all see that? Perfectly molded in the side right there. That is awesome. Easy in, easy out of that micro SD. This looks like what a factory GameCube SD card would have been. And this is also using the Makio new USB adapter. And that also looks really nice on the side like that. And in fact, let me boot this last one just to do a final demo before we go. Oh, don't knock all that shit over. Come on, come on, come on. So I'm going to try this neat flex adapter, or the right angle, up angle adapter. So you barely see it, which I don't think we tested that yet in the stream. Plug in the Carby. Grab my Ethernet adapter. So it's neatly tucked behind there, so we got nothing sticking out. So this is just nice, flush. You can barely see anything on the sides. Looks mostly stock. Power the sucker on. And initializing network, and now we are connecting to my RetroNAS server and gonna load a game. So that's running off of my network right now, the way that you all see it. I think that's super cool. I really like that. I will be doing a write-up, hopefully tonight, on the Ethernet adapter. And actually, I should put this all on that one in case it falls apart. Now that I'm thinking about it. I'll do a write-up hopefully tonight on the Ethernet adapter, showing you how it all, you know, with the quick fix if you're using RetroNAS over Unraid. thanks again for the help with that one. Really appreciate it. It would have taken me a while to figure out because I would have started by troubleshooting RetroNAS and not troubleshooting on RAID. So much appreciated for that. Yeah, so that's basically it. I think everybody knows Pico loaders are awesome. I don't think anybody's surprised by that. I think this was a good buy. I'm sad that I broke Greg's. Sorry. My apologies, Greg. I'll send this back. I'll send this back and pay for the broken flex. And the flex cable and the solderless PicoLoader from Greg and direct from Makio are the same but different, basically. So just I would buy based on location. I don't mean that. I mean that respectfully. Like I'm not playing favorites. It's just if you live in the U.S., then it's gonna be easier to get it from Greg, and if you live in Europe, it's gonna be way easier to get it from Makio. That's just it. Greg also has an Ethernet adapter. It's just a single Ethernet adapter, but this is based off of the homebrew version that will not load games off of RetroNAS. That's just if you're doing like a Mario Kart tournament or something like that. That would be it. All right, before I go, does anybody have any questions or anything like that? Thank you to everybody for suffering through this one with me. I kind of knew this was going to be I even warned everybody this is going to be long and boring because I'm doing a bunch of stuff for the first time, so I'm probably going to make a ton of mistakes. I think that's basically it. Yeah, Greg deserves a handwritten apology. I don't disagree at all. Not even a little bit. Cool. Well, thanks to everybody else for hanging out. Thanks again, RazorX, for the unraid tip. I definitely would have figured that out after a very long time of troubleshooting everything else. So, super lucky that you were on the stream and you saved me that trouble. Much appreciated. Transistor, I think I just did that. I don't know if the chat's delayed on yours. I know that sometimes happens for me. Even in my own streams, when I look at it, I'll look up and there'll be like a ton of delay from the last time I looked up. I don't know why, to be honest with you. But yeah, hopefully I was able to just do that. Anything else here? Did I leave anything? Everything else? All garbage, right? I hope. I also wonder what that spacer was in Makio's kit. But I'll tell you, everything seems to be running fine, so. All right, well, I guess that's it. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for keeping me company while I did this. Thanks for the help. And my final thoughts on this are exactly what I would have guessed beforehand. PicoLoader is awesome. I think it's just a great idea. And as long as you can get that W bend right, just buy 2 flex cables. Buy a spare flex cable in case you mess it up like I did. The new USB adapter, absolutely nuts that I could just get cheap adapters and load games off the network now. But I still strongly recommend. I love this one. Any way to have SD card support, but I really love the SD to SP2 Ace right here, because while you might just boot to the network, updating Swiss and everything is super easy. And as we saw, you just drop the file on. You don't even need to rename it. Swiss has some magic in there that does it automatically now. So I just